Hey there, friends. Welcome to Flying Casual and All Star Wars podcast. Happy Pride to everyone out there. Some Pride festivities going on in our locales across the country, across the world. So happy Pride to all those out there. We are back after a couple weeks of catching up on our Star Wars novels and having our council sessions, but we are back and we have a lot to catch up here on our main podcast. Lots of Bad Batch to catch up on, but I am your host, Michael Canterbury. Holly at the table with me. Holly, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm good. Everything's good.
Everything's good. Luke is he's with us via Skype right now, bartering with the wife on some things. Can't make it on studio tonight. Said, hey, I'll stay home, have a beer, and we'll do it on Skype because he's got some duties tomorrow. So we're lucky to have him with us tonight via Skype. Luke, how you doing?
Rocking and rolling.
And we may have Aerosmith in-house. We're not sure where the music's coming from. There may be banjo involved at some point. Who knows? That's what happens on Flying Casual. Anything can happen. Guys, we do have a lot. We have 3 episodes of the Bad Batch to catch up on. But before we do that, we have a couple, of things to update folks on. Or a few, I guess I should say. But we do.
Okay.
We do. First and foremost, Holly has finally seen the 1990s classic, The Cable Guy.
Oh my God.
Finally, that happened this week. Holly, what did you think?
I mean, it was fine.
All of my impressions make sense now?
Oh my God. There's like so many things that Michael, like he makes this one weird noise. That's not it.
No, that's not it. You're talking about the medieval times fight sequence when I reenact that. You had no idea what I would do.
I was prompting you to make the noise. Yeah.
I can't really do it very well.
I just
in the moment. But
I don't know. Michael does that all the time.
All
I think if I watched this movie by myself, I never would have even noticed that was a noise in the movie.
yeah, after the movie ended, I was like, Holly, do all those impressions make sense? She's like, not at all.
I'll tell you, Jim Carrey is creepy as heck.
Oh, absolutely. Very creepy guy in that movie.
Yeah,
one of the
sure.
best though. It's right up there with the Truman Show with me. But Luke, you've seen The Cable Guy, right?
Honestly, I don't think I've seen it in one sitting all the way through. I've seen a lot of bits and pieces.
What are we even doing here, guys? I mean, I guess it's an all Star Wars podcast. It makes sense that you haven't seen it. But that's okay. Well,
but I was really pleasantly surprised to find out it was directed by Ben Stiller. I only found that out like a year or two ago.
And Ollie?
Judd Apatow. Well, he didn't direct it, but
he produced part of it.
He's one of my favorites. By the way, it is storming out right now.
Yeah.
So at any moment, the power could.
Guys, the city of Columbus right now is currently tour warned on this Friday night, so you never know what's going to happen. Let's just all say a little prayer that the roadcaster survives and some, gentle person arrives on the scene and uploads the podcast in time for Monday morning.
Yeah, that would be you.
Well, then I apparently am surviving the tornado. So, yeah, if we cut out here, hey, maybe we got to redo this all over. I hope not.
I guess it
what
doesn't.
An epic intro.
I guess it doesn't really matter for people who are listening to this on Monday whether the power cuts out or not.
They could give 2 shits.
But
unless there's no episode and we're dead, maybe they will care then.
But they'll never hear this. But if it sounds choppy, it probably won't.
Let's just say if we don't have an episode Monday, we all died. And I can confidently say that. I'm pretty sure we are in the path of the tornado. Like, it will start at Luke's house and get us, but hopefully the elder family gets out and they can all, come check on us. But this feels like ground zero. So, so that's some of us have seen The Cable Guy now. Great classic. Great classic Jim Carrey film. Also, I learned here recently that Holly has now become a top fan on the Zelda Facebook page. Guys, what an achievement.
It's not.
Holly,
what does this mean?
This is an achievement. That's
not,
what I asked. How do you become
God.
a top fan? How many hours are you putting in Facebook?
No, it's just like Facebook pages will like give you badges if you like interact with the page a lot. Earlier, Michael, and a couple months ago, it was like, accept this badge honoring you being a top fan of the page.
Pretty epic.
Okay, but earlier Michael was like, oh my God, did you know that they released a trailer for the new Breath of the Wild sequel? And I was like, ha ha ha.
Yeah, little did I know that happened 3 days ago, and Holly watched it alone in the closet or something like that. Well, as she likes
You're reminding me You're reminding me of how proud I felt when Spotify told me I listened to more Strokes than 99.5% of Strokes.
See, Luke is part of the 1%.
I love it. Is it something you guys hide from everyone? Is this open to the world?
Are we ashamed of our nerdom?
Now it is. No, I don't think so. I wouldn't call the Strokes or Zelda nerdum, but Chewie's like, I'm getting the hell out of here. He heard the storm's coming. He's running probably for the bathroom, which was the smartest place to go. Because I actually don't think he can open the basement door.
Probably not.
So, sorry, Chewie.
There's just going to be a Chewie-shaped hole.
Yeah.
You are
like
on
Tom
your
and Jerry.
He knows he's on his own at this point. But guys, more importantly, I just saw this a little bit ago as well. E.K. Johnston's upcoming third novel to her Padme trilogy, the cover art is out for that, and it's phenomenal. I mean, Natalie Portman looks stunning, but the artwork itself, just the way they present her with the hood, take a look if you see it. Just, I don't know about you guys, it looks like it just embodies just Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill. I don't know, just Princess Leia and Luke in this moment. I just feel both of them just kind of coming through.
It is a really cool cover.
Oh, it's so good.
I actually I must have misread. E.K. Johnston tweeted that earlier, and I must have misread her tweet because when I was like scrolling through Twitter, I thought that it was just a fan art. I didn't think it was the actual cover for the book, but
it is. It is. Luke, did you get to take a look at that? Have you seen that at all?
Oh, I'm trying to check it out now. Is it the one with her kind of got the hood on and curly hair going on? Okay. Yeah. It's just a Luke great. Skywalker Leia pose, just looking up kind of just to the stars. I love it. I think it looks a lot how she. Oh wait, no, I got the wrong scene. I think it's one of the times when they're at her apartment in Revenge of the Sith. Is that where that look comes from?
Absolutely.
At first, I was thinking it was when her and Anakin first reunite after the Battle of Coruscant. But she's got her hair like all done in little things in her hair and stuff like that in that scene. But this is one of those scenes where they're just like chilling at the pad together.
Absolutely. That's
definitely where that look comes from.
So that's coming out. I think it's Queen's Hope. Is that what I read? Did I read that?
Yeah, Queen's Hope. Yep.
Coming out soon. So excited for that one. Still got to finish that trilogy. But
I have some news.
Oh, Jesus. This is unscripted at this point. Holly, what's the fourth bit of information here at the beginning of the podcast? Please share. Oh, jeez.
I just ran into the mic. I got too excited.
It happens, yeah.
Okay, listen. Okay. It is Star Wars news. And I actually read it today, and I was like, that can't be true. And it was. Yeah. It was verified by me on the internet. Always check your sources. Yeah. So I saw today that on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Carrie Fisher, Ewan McGregor, and Ming-Na Wen are all getting stars.
That's awesome. That is super
in 2022.
Carrie had one already?
Yeah, I thought that was kind of crazy.
Huh.
Well, anyway, congratulations.
Yeah, super
So
awesome
I think that's super cool. I didn't know. I guess, okay. Yeah. I've never been to Hollywood. I don't know anything about it. Do they remove the stars?
Would that be awkward?
I think so.
I don't know. I think they're just going to take up all the sidewalks in LA.
I just don't know how much more room they have. You should see this list of names that are getting stars in 2022. It's like 100 people. I don't know how they have the room.
Doubling up or something on the sidewalk squares.
Anyway.
Maybe if you become irrelevant or lost to time, you do get removed.
Probably. That would be real awkward.
Or canceled.
Oh, everyone's getting canceled.
That's the real cancellation. Your star gets
Someone's just going to take some fresh concrete one of these days, and they're just going to go over all of them and try to cancel everybody.
I think some of them get vandalized sometimes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But, I mean,
people put their hands in concrete all the time. Nothing new.
It's not wet concrete right now.
No, I know, but it was at one point.
Yes.
Wait, do they put their hands in there? I'm not even really familiar with it. Do you get the star, someone put their hands in it? I don't freaking know. I'm not an elitist, not a celebrity. Don't claim to be.
We have never been to Hollywood.
Never been west of the Mississippi, so... Is that sad? Is that sad?
I don't know.
Oh, that's cool.
In May, we'll be west of the Mississippi. We're going to Anaheim.
Yeah, going to Celebration. Secured a hotel. As frustrating as that was, there's some more news. Boy, Reed Pop or whoever's putting it on. I mean, you got some figuring out. That was a nightmare.
It was. Oh my gosh. We had the perfect setup the first time around. The plane tickets were perfect. We had the rental car ready to go. We got a hotel that was pretty much attached to the convention center. We had a great room.
Yeah.
It was going to work out so well. And now this time around, it was so stressful.
So stressful.
We couldn't even get a hotel room. I think they sold out within 2 hours of it opening up to people.
Well, we got a room. We're in the block, but it isn't what we had before. And that's okay. It's still going to be great. Who knows? Things may change. We may get a different room. It may be canceled. Who knows?
That's true.
But boy, that was frustrating and stressful. So hopefully they can figure that out, because I know there was a lot of frustration from a lot of people. But not going to complain about it. We're getting to do something that not a lot of Star Wars fans or people get to do in general.
Right.
So we're going to go. We're going to have fun. It's going to be epic. It's a nice ass hotel, and it's going to cost a boatload of money. But hey, put it on a card.
But you're not an elitist.
No. Never.
Okay.
No.
Michael just got the fanciest, most expensive hotel in Hollywood.
Hey, you want to live
sorry,
it up.
Anaheim.
If I'm going west of the Mississippi for the first time, it better be a damn experience, okay?
It better be.
Amen. Well, guys, enough shenanigans and enough about us. We have some Bad Batch to talk about. 3 episodes. I actually couldn't believe it. I was blown away. I was like, we got a couple to catch up. No, we have 3 episodes to catch up on. Episode 6, Decommissioned. Episode 7, Battle Scars. And Episode 8, Reunion. They were all fun, good episodes. And I think we can definitely talk about them in 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
So that's not going to be a problem at all. But Decommissioned. The fellas are still hanging around with Sid. Right? I guess their plan is to just take some jobs until things settle down. They figure out what they're going to do with their lives. I don't know. Maybe Hunter wants to make some homestead, create a farm, like Cut was doing, and raise, Omega, or, maybe 4 guys and a kid, baby. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what their plan is. It doesn't feel like they have a lot of plans.
I think it would be 4 clones and a baby.
4 clones and a baby. That's a spinoff that they're going to do after the Bad Batch. She's not really a baby, I guess, but a kid. And so they're just taking jobs with Sid here, and she gives us give them the job of finding this one of these separatist tactical droid heads. We know them from the Clone Wars. We know that they're super geniuses, and that they retain a lot of battle intel. And so there's apparently a hefty boat of cash or credits attached to these guys. And they're all being decommissioned, so there's not many around. But they have insight on finding one, and sends the boys out in Omega to find it. Well, little do they know, I guess here was the coolest part.
What was it?
We find out they're going to Corellia. I don't know if you guys remember a few episodes back, I said, why are we going to Corellia? Like, it just feels like we should be going there. And boy, that's where we went. And the entire time, though, I'm just thinking, God, a little Han Solo's going to run out here at some point, and he's going to steal that damn head from him. And I wasn't, I was wrong, yes, but we also ran into some other known Star Wars characters. Rafa and Trace, is that the Martez sisters, correct, Holly?
The Martez sisters, yes.
Which was, I thought that was a cool little nod, bringing them back in, give them a little more action. I think we all enjoyed them when we saw them in the final season of the Clone Wars, so that was a nice little surprise. But I did, for a second, think we were going to get a little young Han Solo action, Luke. The whole time, I mean, were you feeling the same thing? What were you thinking when they were going to Corellia?
No, I have to admit, I wasn't thinking the little Han Solo was going to run around the corner, but it was pretty wild that the last episode that we talked about the Bad Batch of the podcast, that you did mention Corellia, and I mentioned too how Lady Proxima recently made an appearance in the Afra comic, where Afra went to Corellia. So yeah, Corellia is getting a lot of love, which is great because for decades we knew Han was from Corellia.
Yep.
Wedge also, I believe his backstory is he's from Corellia as well. So you had this. You knew about this place, but we had never really seen it until Solo, the Solo movie. I think it was the first time we actually got it visually. And then, unless I'm missing something earlier from like Clone Wars, but so it's great to keep like revisiting this place that's been sort of a well-known Star Wars planet in all of our minds for so long, but without ever really seeing it before. So I think it's great to keep getting it circulated through some of the different stories.
Yeah, I was a little bummed that we didn't spend more time there. We were kind of contained to that factory, and that's okay. But yes, if we would have saw Proxima and kind of what's going on there with some of these kind of clans or families, whatever you want to call them, that would have been sweet. So I would have loved some more time there. But what we got was a nice little cool interaction. A lot of just throwbacks to the Clone Wars, Holly, tons of droids, some nice comical moments from them. But it's helping to blend. This feels like a continuation of the Clone Wars, right?
I mean,
kind of.
I don't know. I think that having Omega be a constant presence kind of moves it out of the Clone Wars and into something else,
Mm-hmm.
And then I think there are some people that have kind of like compared her to how people felt about Ahsoka before. I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
But I think that this episode did a really good job of like continuing to show you how the members of the Bad Batch are kind of like working against the stereotypes that everyone's put on these clones. Because I think even the Martez sisters make comments about like, oh, I know how you clones are and you're all the same. And they just like time after time have to keep proving themselves to be different. And so I think that's kind of what this episode did a little bit differently, that we don't see things like that so much as often throughout the Clone Wars. So we focus more on still like the individualism of the members of the Bad Batch and, what's kind of like stacked against them and how, they're trying to make their way in the world. And I think that that's really cool. But I just think having the dynamic of having the Martez sisters come in and kind of like change things up a little bit was really refreshing too.
Yeah. And as much as they are, kind of individuals and you talking about how different they are, they're still just kind of like there is no plan, it feels like, at this point, and we'll kind of get into that when we talk about the next few episodes, but it just doesn't feel like everyone's just kind of okay, we're going to take this job. It's just like they're just figuring things out, and even the Rafa sisters or Martez sisters, sorry, I'm an idiot. The Martez sisters are they kind of went through that as well, and they're probably still figuring that out, but you find out they're working for somebody or with somebody, and there's a higher purpose there, because before, remember, they were just out taking jobs too, right, to survive. But now you see them, they have this higher purpose now. They're working to on what is the beginnings of this rebellion, which is super cool. It kind of foreshadows into maybe where the Bad Batch are going.
Well, and they keep alluding to having this mystery client, like, oh, we have to tell our client what's happening or what we found or what we weren't able to get or who we ran into. So I thought that, that's kind of like the big mystery, like who is it? And everybody had to speculate. But I think something else cool about this episode was the theme throughout a lot of Star Wars is how people are kind of like, oh, this has nothing to do with me, I'm going to stay out of it. Yeah. And it just like shows you, like, even the Martez sisters get sucked into this rebellion. And I feel like that's a theme that we just talked about in Rebel Rising when we had our book club too. It's kind of like everybody has this idea of like, oh, I'm just a little ant and no one's going to notice me. I'm going to stay out of it and mind my own business. And you can't do that. Yeah. And I just love like the little details of seeing how these people kind of like all play a role in working to undermine the Empire, or even like not even full-fledged Empire at this point. Right.
Yeah.
So
it all leads back to what Saul told us at the beginning of the season, right? You pick a side, or you're gonna get engulfed in this thing at one point. So,
which I think, Luke, do you remember the quote that one of the sisters said about everybody? She said something like, "Everybody picks a side eventually," or something like that.
Yeah,
yeah. I think it's so great that you brought that up, Holly, because I think going back to last year, right, when season 7 of the Clone Wars came out, I think the arc with the Martez sisters, I don't think was terribly well received overall when it first came out. I think it was maybe a little long. Maybe I could have seen it as a 3-episode arc rather than a 4-episode arc that it was. And people just felt like it wasn't, they were so excited for the Clone Wars to come back, and they didn't feel it was like a big enough, epic enough story for the final season. But I think it's really great that they're back and you see exactly what Holly was saying, sort of the message that it sends about how, especially which one's the older sister? Is it Rafa is the older sister? So. I think Trace is the younger sister.
That's right.
And Trace was more like, what's the word? She was more like, it's kind of altruistic in the way that she thought of the world, more so than Rafa. Rafa was a little more jaded when we met them in season 7, and like through their experience interaction with Ahsoka, she helped them see that there's more to things than just what it means for you as an individual. And so I think it is a really powerful message that, especially for Rafa, like through that experience with Ahsoka, came to realize that enough to where she wants to join the nascent rebellion and help resist the Empire. And I think that's, when you look at that arc, not just as what we saw in season 7 of the Clone Wars, but look at their arc continuing into Bad Batch, I think that's a really great Star Wars story.
It absolutely is. And it's cool that like we're seeing these characters show up, and it's, I definitely think that Saw Gerrera had an effect on these guys, right? It's just kind of like we're inching our way towards decision time, like we're in it, or we're splitting up, and we're all kind of, I can honestly kind of see it maybe even going both ways. I don't necessarily see all of them just like, let's join the rebellion, or maybe we'll lose some people along the way, but it's cool that we're getting these Martez sisters that, they're learning from Ahsoka and now Rex, and they're sharing kind of that story of, we too didn't know where we were going, and we found a purpose. And it's just awesome. And my question is like, who is going to set them, who's going to push them to make a choice? Who is that going to be?
And we're still leading up to it.
We're still leading up to it.
Even in the next 2 episodes after this is a question that keeps coming up. Like, well, we could be doing something. We're soldiers.
Yeah.
We're soldiers.
Yeah.
We were soldiers. We need to be doing something.
Exactly. So there's so much good in these 3 episodes, so much good development with our characters and what's going on with them mentally and all that. But it's also these few episodes have served the purpose of showing us what's going on in the galaxy, even if it's just this factory in Corellia, this literal decommissioning of these battle droids being melted down into metal, probably to build the Death Star, God knows what. So just actually showing us what's going on with these resources, and then going on to where we're going in the next episode, Braca, kind of the same story there. Anything else about this episode? We talked about the cliffhanger there, and we all know now that it was Rex. But Luke, is there anything else about this episode that really sticks out?
I think we're just continuing to see the growth of Omega in the team, and her just learning more about herself and being out in the big wide galaxy and not just sheltered in Camino. Her part of her story was learning to actually shoot the bow that she got in from the Zagarian slavers in the previous episode, and actually like figuring out how to use it and just figuring out how to be more of an active member of the team rather than just like when it gets crazy, you go stand over there and hide. Yeah. We're just continuing to see her sort of come out of her Camino shell.
Yep.
Yeah, taking some target practice with the fellas and Sid showing her up and all that. It was a lot
but
of
also,
fun.
like Luke was saying, like gaining that confidence, and I don't know. I'm excited to see maybe where she's at over the next few episodes, even after this episode 8 that we just watched, that we'll talk about in a little bit, because I just feel like each episode she's getting more confident and more competent.
Absolutely. And another one of the big things is Wrecker. I mean, concussion number 99 probably in this episode. And, you hear him utter the words, "good soldiers," and you're like, oh God, no. Oh no. And he just kind of shakes it off, and we delay his inhibited chip activation in this episode. But I was just kind of like, oh my God, here it's coming. I just pictured him just standing in a doorway looking like Jason Voorhees, just ready to dominate. That didn't quite happen.
Well, and it really adds to that sense of urgency. You as the audience, like, like this can't keep going for much longer because of how frequently he's getting these headaches, and they're making a point to show you that.
Absolutely.
So you start knowing like something's going to come to a head, not to be punny. Wrecker's head, but anyway,
I wish I knew which one was the. There it is. Yeah, I got nailed the sound effect.
But anyway, you know it's coming.
Well, phrasing, Holly. Then we'll move on to episode 7, Battle Scars. And just that, I loved. We're back at Sid's place. And am I correct in that there's a robed fella just hanging out there at the bar? Just it felt like old Aragorn just hanging out at the Rusty Steed, or what's the bar called?
The Rusty Steed. Yes, that's the one.
Luke, what's the bar called that Aragorn's hanging out at? It's the something to do with a horse.
Oh, the
pony. The prancing pony. I like the Rusty Steed though. If anyone, I swear to God, that's it. That's the new pod. That's the podcast name for the Lord of the Rings.
Instead
podcast.
Of Trusty Steed, it's Rusty Steed. Sounds like it would be a Shrek podcast.
It's me just kind of, getting the rust off and learning Lord of the Rings by you folks who know more than I do.
At least you've seen the movies.
Yeah, somewhat in parts. He's just kind of hanging out there. And it was just kind of reminiscent of that, just kind of in the shadows. Who is this fella? And so we know that it's Rex now. And I don't know why when we were introduced to him, he obviously recognizes the Bad Batch, right? But he's just like, he's got his hand on his blaster at times. And I'm like, holy shit, he could bust a cap on these guys at any moment. And I'm like, what's going on with Rex? Like, but then I was just reminded, season 7 of the Clone Wars, all of his brothers turned on him. Like he almost killed, he's just terrified at this moment whenever he runs into someone, one of his brothers, and needs to know, hey, have you gotten rid of your chip? Holly, that was I don't know about you, but I was a little taken aback, but then it took some time to say that makes sense where he's at right now.
I mean, yeah, but I guess, like you said, when you think about it in context, it does make sense because you probably wouldn't really trust anybody, maybe have a little PTSD or something if you saw all of your like brothers in arms murdering your Jedi friends and you yourself tried to murder your Jedi friends.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't trust yourself, how can you trust somebody else who may or may not have an inhibitor chip that is about to be activated?
Very true. Luke, it kind of broke my heart seeing Rex like that. He's usually your optimist, always trusting in his brothers, and it just seemed like he's a changed man.
Yeah, that final few episodes of Clone Wars Season 7 is so powerful and so really traumatic from Rex and Ahsoka's point of view. And, we see them starting to try to process it when they bury all the clone bodies on that moon that they crash onto at the end. But there's still a lot for them to deal with. And we haven't seen how Ahsoka and Rex are dealing with that trauma of Order 66 and what happened on that Star Destroyer. So this isn't all that long. We don't know exactly how much time, but not much time has passed since Order 66. No. I mean, the show basically started with Order 66. So that is all very, very raw for Rex still.
Yeah.
Processing, how he fell to the chip's domination and almost hurt Ahsoka, who he cares so much for. And then having so many of his brothers that he couldn't save from their chips. So at the same time, he has this, need for self-preservation. And if they're all of a sudden going to be a danger to him because their chips activate, he's ready to protect himself and defend himself from that threat.
Absolutely.
But yeah, everything. He's still got a lot of PTSD.
For sure. It's just... So, I mean, rightfully so. He's like, guys, we got to get rid of these things. I'm like, wait, you can do that? And apparently, I think it was his idea that they're going to go to find an old scrapped Jedi cruiser on Braca, which you likely know if you've played Jedi Fallen Order with our boy Cal Kestis and friends working in the scrap yard. And there's some cool scenes that just, I don't know. It just took me back to the beginning of Fallen Order, just playing the game, being so epic. And even the scrappers that you see kind of in the distance, they have the same garb on that Cal Kestis had. And you're like, let's go. Could one of them be Cal? It turns out it wasn't. But who knows? He may show up. I have no idea. But it was just cool kind of seeing that place again. And it makes sense. Once again, we're seeing these decommissioned, Star Cruisers that are going to be scrapped down and made into Star Destroyers for the Empire. It was just cool to see that going on. And that you have these scrappers that are loyal to the Empire. Like they are, we see someone, we're calling it in. Like it was pretty crazy. But we're here on Braca, and they devise a way, I guess, to use the medical devices there on the cruiser to take out these inhibitor chips. Rex has done it. He mentions others. I don't know if you guys caught it briefly. He could have been talking about the Bad Batch, I guess. He could have been talking about past interact. I mean, I don't know if you guys caught it, but Luke, is it possible that there's others out there that have, their inhibitor chips failed, or Rex seems kind of familiar with this, not just himself, but others. Like, could we find others out there as well?
Yeah, I don't know if he's referring to like Cut LaQuaine, who we know he visited.
True, yeah.
Before the Bad Batch visited him on Seleucami, we saw earlier. He said, "Oh yeah, Rex was just by here. You just missed him." So maybe he's referring to like the fact that Cut seems unaffected by Order 66 happening, but we speculated like they probably need to hear the order given, to sort of react to it and activate the chip. And Cut would have never heard the order.
True.
But he still has his chip. But maybe he again was so unique in the fact that he was willing to desert the Republic Army that maybe he was somehow so unique that even his chip won't work. Sort of in the vein of how most of the Bad Batch acted. Although we see that a couple of them have already had it activated, so it was likely that if it went on, that maybe Tex or Hunters would have activated it as well. But we never saw it. Yeah. And then you have the whole great season 6 arc of the Clone Wars, where Rex is dealing with the Fives situation, where Fives is learning about the chips and discovering the chips. So I think those are the two things I think he must be referring to in that moment. And actually later in the episode, he actually directly references Fives. Fives tried to warn me. I didn't fully understand the warning at the time. But then it sort of all came to a head when Order 66 actually happened.
Well, and I guess also in Rebels, who were the other clones? Was Wolf one of them?
Oh yeah.
And I don't remember who the other one was. So I mean, maybe we'll have interactions.
Gregor.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have interactions with them. Maybe they met up somehow. I don't know, but it seems like he knows what he's doing. And because I would have asked, hey, Rex, have you done this? I mean, yeah, you did it on yourself or someone did it, but like, do we have a good track record here? You're digging into my brain. Like, do we know what we're doing? I don't know. But who was the first to step up to the plate? Was it Echo or was it Tech?
Well, they did Wrecker first.
Did they do Wrecker first?
They had to, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. That's true. I guess I was getting my timeline confused there. So let's talk about that moment. One of the scariest moments in Star Wars. I mean, it was the music combined just with Wrecker's posture and just, I think the music just went silent and his eyes just looked up or what. It was terrifying. Holly, you're a big fan of horror. I mean, was it effective?
Yeah, I mean,
it's pretty short-lived.
It was short. Well, yeah, thank God. But yeah, I guess that it's been a while since we watched that episode, so it doesn't really like stand out to me now as something that was so like, wow, that was like crazy. But I mean, yeah, I think it was effective. You could definitely tell when the change happened and then you knew that shit was about to go down, which was not a fun moment for the audience because you grow to love all these characters and you really like Wrecker and you don't want anything bad to happen to him. I think we were speculating in the beginning of the show when he started getting his headaches and we knew it was the chip that he's got to go. Everybody thought that, well, maybe not everybody. But I mean, we thought that he might they might have to.
Yeah. And of everyone, I feel like of all the Bad Batch, he's the one that kind of likes extra, right? Like it's if they're on a mission, he's like, I'm gonna go out of my way to like grab this thing and like slam these guys. It's not as like precise and like clean as the rest of them. So for him to be kind of this, kind of go outside the boundaries guy to Chip is on, we are going to work and I am here to eliminate. It was just like a different person, which I mean shows you why Crosshair is so effective right now, because he was kind of like that on his own, minus the chip.
But I think something interesting to me after the fact, sorry, I'm kind of skipping ahead and then we can go back, but it seems like they are cognizant of what they're doing when they're doing it, and they remember that afterwards.
And they can't stop it.
And I think to me, that's more terrifying than him actually like having that chip be activated and what he was doing. To me, it's the fact, like, I cannot imagine if that were to happen to me in real life, where I was doing something so terrible, but I literally could not control my actions. What an out-of-body experience in a way, and it's horrible.
And it, fast forward, makes me think, like, boy, Crosshair is going to have a hell of a time dealing with this if he snaps out of it.
But how would you?
I don't know.
How would you process that?
Luke, it was troubling to see a different Wrecker, because I've grown so fond of him and his fun, bubbling self, and then, I mean, going after the kid and just smashing his brothers. And like Holly said, I had kind of forgotten that he said, I was completely there. I just couldn't stop. And I remember everything. I just couldn't stop it. That was freaking terrifying, man.
Yeah, I like how you described the terror and how effective it is. The moment the chip kind of flips and he gets that more menacing look on his face. And it's interesting to me because like his face to begin with could be very startling in many ways, because he's got like a lot of scarring on the one side of his face and the eye that's sort of discolored and cloudy, which are just like harsher features that generally could be a little startling. Yeah. But because the whole time we've known him, he's generally this like fun-loving, childlike brute. It never came across as like startling or menacing, but it can so easily be turned that way with just sort of remove the silly grin. Yeah. And get a stern, serious, sort of snarly face and sort of a more squint to the eyes. And all of a sudden it's like a terrifying facade rather than this sort of fun-loving, goofy one. Yeah. So it's amazing how the same face can sort of be portrayed so effectively in those two different ways. And then we were talking about how there was going to be this moment with how much they were building up the relationship between Omega and Wrecker, how close they had become and how much they sort of enjoyed each other, and how they were in many ways sort of kindred spirits, because again, he had this like childlike demeanor that connected well with Omega. And so we knew that once that flip switched on his chip, that there was going to be a moment of confrontation between the two, because it would be so painful to see that with how much they built up the relationship. So those moments when she's, begging for her life, he might be about to hurt her, and she's like, we're friends. Yeah. We're friends. Ricka, we're friends.
It's me, Omega. I think
it's your chip. You're not doing this.
This isn't you. I think she actually even picked up a blaster at one point.
Yeah.
And I want to say she threw it away because she's like, I'm not going to do this to my friend.
I think he knocked it out of her hands. Okay. If I'm remembering correctly.
Well, and so they detain him pretty quickly, which is, thank God, and stun him and take the chip out. And they had, Wrecker and Omega had a really nice moment, like Luke was talking about. I mean, Omega had to have been terrified in this moment, and any other kid probably never would have wanted to be around this person again. But what, Holly, you were speaking to earlier, just like these episodes are showing just kind of this kid who is way more mature than she should be, it feels like, at this age. Because, like I said, any other kid probably would be terrified, but she's so forgiving. Mm-hmm. She understands this. It's not even just understanding to the chip. There's this forgiveness there that wouldn't come so easily for someone else. But she knows, hey, this isn't you. She continually tells that to Crosshair. She tells it to Wrecker, and it seems like all is forgiven after all that.
Yeah, you know what else is very striking about the scene where Wrecker's chip is activated is that this is the type of clone that the Emperor was going for when he had these chips installed and they came up with the concept of Order 66. When you want to talk about the effectiveness of that scene, I also think we need to talk about like the effectiveness, or I guess the efficiency of these clones that were truly bred. It sounds terrible to say that, but they were created for this purpose and with this purpose in mind. And we've talked a lot about how the Kaminoans don't ever do anything with their cloning on accident. And this is exactly what these clones are meant to do. And it kind of makes you wonder, I mean, if there were other clones out there like Wrecker when Order 66 happened who did have their chips turned on, how much more terrible. I mean, the whole thing was awful. But, you know, like I just feel like it would have been a very different scene.
Yeah.
And it just truly shows you that the Emperor really was capable of creating these killing machines, even with the clones that were fighting side by side with the Jedi. And just thinking about that, like what the other members of the Bad Batch would have looked like if their chips had turned too. It just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of made me wonder. But like that was what Palpatine was going for.
Well, and it's interesting when we learn about the clones in episode 2, the Kaminoans make them seem like they're totally obedient, right? And almost like they are machines. But you learn in the Clone Wars, you know, we're really trying to humanize these guys. But then, honestly, like the Emperor has that Joker card. Like he's just, you know, the chips. Whether the Kaminoans knew that this was, you know, what Palpatine was up to, or that this was even possible with what they were doing. I mean, I don't think they did. But it's just crazy how, you know, how the clones have changed over time.
Yeah.
And even the clones in these episodes, when we run into them, you notice that they don't have, there's no distinction anymore in their armor. There's no battalion colors. There's nothing. It's white armor, and we don't see faces anymore.
Everything's very uniform, and it's not like there's no individualism, which I mean, we thought, you know, before in the Clone Wars, like there wasn't really, but like now there truly isn't.
Yeah, it's, I mean, they are essentially machines at this point, which is what the Empire wants. And so pretty quickly we remove all the chips from our Bad Batch, and that's that. And so we're almost, I guess, halfway through the season at this point. Weren't you guys expecting, Luke, were you expecting the chips to be a finale kind of moment? Like, I guess maybe I was thinking that this would be towards the end of the season, that something would happen and it would be very traumatic and kind of a cliffhanger moment. But halfway through the season, chips are not a factor at this point, and we're moving on to more story. Did that surprise you at all?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that it got resolved at this point in the season. I would have thought that the threat of Wrecker's fully activating was going to hang over the group, and we would all be sitting here on pins and needles every episode waiting. When is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? And I was sort of expecting it to happen at like the most inopportune time. Like one of the things, you know, that I love about The Last Jedi is the way that kind of, you know, one of the main climaxes of the movie all comes about, and there's action scenes going on everywhere when, you know, you're in the throne room on the Star Destroyer with Snoke and Rey and Kylo, and then there's, you know, the battle going on outside with the ships trying to escape and they're being fired on, and there's Finn and Rose captive with Captain Phasma, and so there's like all these points of tension all going on at the same time. And I was expecting something like that, where like a bunch of things are all going on at once, and then just to top it all off, Wrecker's chip activates. Yeah. And like, oh no, now it's even worse. So I was a little surprised it was really self-contained in its own thing. It's like, no, this is kind of the only problem that's going on right now, is that Wrecker's chip is activating. But I think it's kind of nice that we got it out of the way. I was like, you know, ready. I think I was ready for it to be over, maybe, even though it ended up being over a little earlier than I thought it would. And now we can kind of just get back to their main issue of being hunted by Crosshair and what's left of the Empire, and then just generally what is their purpose? What are they going to do with themselves in this new world where they're not serving anyone directly?
Yeah. I was surprised, like you said, but like I was ready for it to be over, and I think it makes sense because if we grow so attached to these characters and they're like, we are joining the rebellion. Let's hit up Saul. I'm a whatever now in this rebellion. And then inhibitor chip kicks in. It's like, oh, shit. Like, you're right. I think we needed to get this out of the way. We need to address that they had them and that there is a way to get rid of it. And they had a little internal strife. And these are things we were expecting. We were expecting, this brotherhood to have its problems, whether it's, controllable or not. And obviously this happened to Wrecker. It was terrible. We resolved the problem. And we're wishing Rex goodbye. Rex at this point offers, hey guys, come with us. You join this, that's what I'm doing. I think even Hunter says like, what are you fighting for? The Republic's gone. He's like, not the hope of it. Like we can still fight to bring it back. There are still others that are fighting this empire. I thought that was a nice moment, and I'm like, go with him. Go with Rex. It feels like they may later, but Hunter's still just this, we got to find out our own path, man. It's like, what are you talking about?
Where are you going?
What, are you going to hang out with Sid all the time, do shitty jobs?
Well, he doesn't want to do that.
Well, so I was, Holly, were you a little surprised they didn't go with him at this point? I kind of thought maybe this is our jumping off point.
Truly, no, I wasn't surprised.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I don't know. I think that when we were talking about what we wanted to see from the series, I don't think that having the Bad Batch join the rebellion, in the series was what we wanted to see.
Yeah.
I just I don't know. It would have felt too easy to me. There has to be more of a story there for them to continue to develop and decide on their own that this is something that they want to do. If they end up doing something, to undermine the Empire later.
Yeah.
Which I guess technically they really are doing that now.
Yeah.
By defying everything that they were trained to do and fighting with Crosshair and hiding and stuff. But I don't know. I just felt like I don't really think that it would have been too good of a story if we had just gone with Rex. It kind of, the Bad Batch themselves to me would have been lost at that point.
Yeah. So Hunter's right. They got to find their own path.
I guess so.
Well, it could be a point of contention as we get into our 8th episode reunion. Going into the episode, you hear reunion. I feel like the only reunion we could have is Crosshair joining back up with the boys. Well, kinda. He's still a dick. His inhibitor chip is still at 12. So not quite the, the Aerosmith, reunion tour that Holly, I think, went to in was it 97 or something like
86.
that. 86.
And it wasn't a reunion tour.
Just a world tour.
Yep.
With Aerosmith.
That's right.
Yeah. Old James Walton out there just slamming a few beers, singing some Aerosmith on the world tour. I love it. Anyway, people are like, what the hell is that? Inside joke, folks. Live with it.
Or watch the YouTube.
Or watch the YouTube.
You'll see my shirt.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, no, I love it. I thought you were saying watch the world tour on YouTube. I was like, I don't know if Aerosmith
watch the Flying Casual channel on YouTube. Things make a lot more sense.
Nice plug, Holly.
Thanks.
So, guys, as Wrecker's leaving, apparently everyone just forgot that there's scrappers out there watching their every move.
Rex.
Yeah. What did I say?
Wrecker. He didn't leave us.
He didn't leave us. R.I.P. Wrecker. R.I.P. Chip enhanced Wrecker because he was pretty cool.
Never again.
But these scrappers out there, those Cal Kestis lookalikes, hit at the Empire and say, your boys are here. And oh boy, then that they're going to send Crosshair. We haven't seen Crosshair 3 or 4 episodes, so you feel like they're going to send Crosshair out there. There's going to be an epic confrontation. And boy, it is. So I wasn't, this confrontation was fun. It felt cool. It felt organic. We're in the scrapyard. There's this character who was one of the Bad Batch. He knows their skill set. He knows how they think. this isn't going to be so easy for our heroes to get away. That's not like they're just fighting standard clones. Crosshair knows exactly what these guys are going to do. So that made it kind of interesting. This kind of cat and mouse, like, oh, we tapped into their comms. He's like, that's what I was expecting you would do. And now I'm going to meet you where you're actually going. It was just kind of cool to kind of see that play back and forth. It just shows you Crosshair's just like, even like without being at a 12 on the inhibitor chip, smart guy. Smart guy. He could probably handle them all himself, and I didn't give him the credit for that. That's my bad. So we're here on Braca hunting down the Bad Batch. Luke, what did you think of this? Before we get to the end of it, what did you think of our little running through this cruiser here? Was it a good time?
I know a lot of people have been talking about this generally, but the show is just stunningly beautiful. The animation and the opening shots of this episode, I think, were like zoomed in on people's feet as they were marching along, if I'm remembering correctly. And I think it was Crosshair and some of his gang. Yeah. And I was like, this shot of these feet walking, it looks amazing.
Yeah. There was a Vader moment too, I think, where he was coming out of the shuttle and he was flanked by other clones, and he was kind of backlit by all the steam from the shuttle. It was a kind of a Vader moment for me. You're right, it was stunning.
Yeah, I mean, so much of like they've just really sort of perfected this animation style of being a direct continuation of those sort of the Clone Wars style of animation. And season 7 of Clone Wars looked quite stunning at times, and now this is continuing that. So yeah, it just continues to be so visually appealing, and I definitely want to watch this episode again just for that aspect of it, just to take it all in.
Yeah.
Again, but it was great to finally get Crosshair back in the mix. We knew he was going to come back around. We knew like they had to bring him back into the fold and have a confrontation with the group. Mm-hmm. We've been speculating for a while too about like how long is this season going to be, and there's been some buzz, I think, from some people involved with the show that after this episode premiered that this is essentially the halfway mark.
Oh yeah.
So it's good to hear that too, and to see that. I think a lot of this back half of the season is going to be more about their direct confrontation with the Empire, where we had them sort of doing the odd jobs and finding their way as a new group with Omega, and just learning how to be this weird little family that they are through the first half of the season. And now we're like, okay, now it's just kind of, what is the real plot of this this season going to ultimately really drive to the season finale? And now we know. I think it's really going to be about the conflict with the Empire and what their role is in all of that.
Absolutely. Holly, one of the most interesting moments from this episode was towards the beginning when we're on Kamino and the Kaminoans. They're speaking to, oh God, what's his name again? Rampart. Admiral Rampart. I think he's an admiral.
Yeah.
Who's kind of heading Operation War Mantle. He's the one that kind of initiates this. Go kill them all. Kill all the Bad Batch. Kill Omega. Get him out of here. Operation War Mantle's here. And if they're still out there, we're going to be held back by that. So we got to go take care of business.
Yeah, you know who didn't like that? Lama Su.
Lama Su was not happy about that, right?
No, she was not.
So the Kaminoans are talking amongst each other, and so I think they kind of show us that they were the ones who hired Fennec Shan out there to get the asset back, Omega, and obviously failed in her attempt. But it was Lama Su that said, I ain't putting this to chance. We need another bounty hunter.
Yep. So she hired a second one.
We maybe need one of the best bounty hunters that have ever existed. Snap. And I thought that was fascinating.
And we wanted to know who it was.
And it was what a moment. We the Bad Batch are getting away from Crosshair. They do the whole engine explosion, classic Star Wars tactic. I'm gonna blow up this engine. I'm gonna burn your face, Crosshair, with the engine. Classic moves. And so we have, I think, Hunter and Omega kind of, after this giant explosion and everything, kind of get separated from the rest of the group. And everyone's like, hey, let's meet at the shuttle. Let's get the hell out of town. Meanwhile, Crosshair, like I said, his face is melting by the whatever radiation of the afterburners. You notice in front of their shuttle, all the clones are taken down.
Yep.
Wait a second. It's I love that they had the whole conversation at the beginning of the Kaminoans, because I completely forgot about the conversation. So you're like, wait a second. Oh my God, someone else is here. What the hell is going on?
Who is it?
Luckily I wasn't on Twitter today because they spoiled the hell out of this reveal.
Yeah. Before we sort of reveal it in the discussion too, I'm curious who either of you thought it was going to be as it was building up, because I got to say, I didn't get it right in my head.
Yeah.
My initial thoughts when the scene started developing, I was like, oh, here's the bounty hunter that they alluded to. And it was great to get the reveal finally after all the speculation we had about who was hiring bounty hunters, to see that it was Kaminoan. So I initially thought, it's going to be Fennec Shand or Boba Fett. Did either of you have a different theory other than that, or did you get it right?
Well, Holly, what did you think?
I didn't.
You didn't have any idea.
I had no idea.
You're just kind of living in the moment.
I had no idea what was going on. It didn't even... Honestly, okay.
Yeah.
So real quick, something about this episode that Luke actually kind of brought up about The Last Jedi is this episode was so chaotic.
Yeah.
And in that regard, it really did feel like an extension of the Clone Wars, because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why, like, I had no idea where the hell we were. I did not even realize that the rest of the Bad Batch was not with Hunter and Omega. I thought that they were all together. So then when all these clones are dead, I didn't even think twice about it. I was like, cool, get on your ship. So honestly, like, that went right over my head. I didn't even think about it.
And that's okay. I think that's what makes it a great reveal. And I too, I think I was inclined to think at first, like, I think Wrecker could have popped out of the shuttle and been like, let's go, boys, like I knocked him out. Like, and it would have been fine, and they could have left, and I would have believed it. I think, Luke, after I had that moment, thought, no, this has to be someone else. This is too epic of a moment. There's too many bodies here. This is such an opportune moment to bring in someone else. I, too, thought it was going to be Boba, and I was like, okay, interesting. Okay, I see. We can now have Boba and Fennec actually engage with each other. Maybe, he gets the asset and she's like, hell no, it's mine. And we have a confrontation, and that's how they get to know each other. I'm like thinking in the future here, right?
Well, then when they're all like, all the clones are like laying on the ground, and then Michael was like, someone's already here. And then I was like, oh, and then I think Hunter pretty much said that.
Well, and then I didn't even pick this up at first, but I don't even know how he talks. Like, I don't even remember how Cad talks. He's kind of great. He's kind of John Wayne.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. The second they showed his boots on the ground, because they panned from the ground up, right? And the second they showed his boots, and the music changes right then, I literally looked at Michael and I was like, it's Cad Bane.
And it didn't compute for me at all. I mean, you got the Western music kind of going. You've got the boots, and I'm just like, who? And he's such an awesome... He was one of my favorites of the villains from the Clone Wars. And it's so great that we're getting this character. We actually talked about it several episodes ago. Like, these are the characters in this time period that there's so many unresolved stories that we don't know what happened to these people. And they are the scum that are going to profit and benefit from this time period. Let's bring them into the fold. And that's exactly what they did. It could have been more perfect. And so Cad and Hunter are confronting each other. And Holly, what's the first thing I said? Right, I was like, Hunter doesn't stand a chance. Like, there's no way Hunter's walking away from this.
I think what Michael said is he's about to get obliterated.
Because it's just that's what Cad Bane does.
Yeah.
He's quick to draw. He's a gunslinger.
Yeah.
And he's fought freaking Obi-Wan Kenobi with a laser sword, okay? Hunter doesn't stand a chance. And so I saw Hunter's not making it out of here. He is getting Omega, and that's it. And that's exactly what happened. But for a second, Luke, I thought Hunter died.
Yeah.
I thought, wow. shot to the chest. He's dead. I mean, what did you think after that moment?
I definitely didn't think he was dead. It seems like a character that's got to stick
around.
I don't
know.
He's the glue that holds them all together.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, but it was great. They use that really unique shot when he comes to get his first person perspective for the very end of the episode, where you're like in his helmet as he's coming to and trying to escape with the rest of the batch, and he's seeing sort of all the chaos around him, and he's so little out of it. That was a really powerful visual, because it was so different than anything we'd seen before.
Felt like a video game almost.
Yeah, it was cool to use it sparingly. I wouldn't want them to use it all the time, but it was like, oh, we've never seen this before, and it was great for the moment. You really were Hunter sort of coming back to consciousness and experiencing the chaos that Holly was alluding to. But in terms of the Cad Bane reveal, another great thing about it was the music. They really leaned in to the Western motif of Cad Bane, which he's always drawn really heavily on. He's this Western outlaw. So they did a really great job of just in the standoff that he and Hunter had was extremely Western as well. So they just really played up that whole motif, but it worked really well. It could feel kind of cheesy, but Cad Bane's always just worked as this space outlaw, and so it all kind of worked in the moment, and was powerful. And I can't wait to watch it again. I've only had a chance to really watch this one once through at this point, and it's one I definitely want to watch a few more times, because everything just was quite powerful visually, auditory, the story getting a great return character back. This is one of the episodes that I think is going to stand out from the season.
It made sense, right? Like, it made sense for what the story is, and that's why it's just working so well. Sometimes I feel like even in Rebels, like, you'd have some of our legacy heroes show up and be like, why the hell is Lando here? Like, why is Leia? Okay, I get it, but like, this just kind of makes sense. Like, we all like Luke and I kind of thought Boba Fett, that makes sense. The connection with Fennec Shan, he's a popular bounty hunter, but man, Cad Bane out of left field. What an epic reveal, and the fact that I think it was Kevin Kiner? He's the composer for the series. He tweeted yesterday, "You guys think you know what's coming? You have no freaking clue."
They keep saying that.
I know, and he was right. He nailed the composition here. It felt so right. It just took me back to meeting him for the first time in the Clone Wars. And folks, it got me thinking about the future of the Bad Batch. I kind of revealed my hand here a little bit when I was talking about thinking it was Boba Fett. But just replacing Boba Fett with Cad Bane still kind of fits, because some people may be thinking, oh, well, he's going to take Omega to the Kaminoans, and that's that. I don't think it's going to be that simple. I think Fennec Shan could show up and want this bounty. Hell, she could even be bringing backup with Boba Fett, right? She probably knows who Cad Bane is at this point. And folks, if you're familiar with, what the storyboards for what Episode 7 was going to be, there are some Cad Bane and Boba Fett interactions there. So there's actually a great unfinished animation that we got revealed at, I think it was Celebration 2017 in Florida. Luke, have you seen the Boba Fett confrontation with Cad Bane?
I've heard tell of it.
Oh, you should watch it.
Yeah.
Michael showed it to me tonight, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
But it's also hilarious.
It is hilarious.
I have to say. Come on. It's like your standard Western scene where there's this awkward showdown and everyone's hand is on their holster, but nobody's moving.
It's great.
And it does these really quick shots back and forth between Cad Bane and Boba Fett. But each shot, they get closer to each one's eyes. That typical Western.
Yeah.
Except Boba Fett's wearing a helmet. So they keep zooming in closer and closer on the part of his helmet where he can see out, but you can't see in. So it's literally just helmet. I don't know.
Closer. But the showdown in this episode was kind of similar to it, though, right? It kind of took a little bit of.
I guess if I borrowed a little bit, maybe inspired.
Gave a little homage to that, and who knows if we'll ever get that actual story, but we know that. I would love Dave Filoni to come out and say, yeah, that story is canon. You'll never see it anywhere, but boy, yeah, that's canon. I don't know if we'll ever get that, but there's history there with Cad Bane and Boba Fett. There's this obvious confrontation that was supposed to happen in season 7 where Boba Fett and him have kind of they're not, I don't even know if it's a friendship, but they had something there, and both of them either turned on each other or something went awry. But there's history between the two. Cad Bane was kind of taken under Django's wing at some point, kind of taught him everything he knew, looked up to him, looked at him like a father figure. And after Django was killed, he kind of did the same thing with Boba Fett. But something went awry. I don't think any of us know. I don't think we know the story as to what went wrong. We just got this footage revealed at Celebration of this draw between the two of them, and you find out that's how Boba Fett got the little dent and the scratch on his helmet, which was freaking cool. But I want to know what happened, especially now, because I feel like there's going to be a confrontation, or this is foreshadowing, Luke, into the book of Boba Fett. Maybe we get a live-action Cad Bane. Maybe some bad blood between Boba, Fennec, and maybe there could be something there. So maybe if we don't have anything like that in this series, and he just drops Omega off, we know he's still out there. I think that was one of our concerns as Cad Bane fans: is did he survive? I mean, we assume he did. If Dave Filoni was gonna. If he was going to write him into season 7 of the Clone Wars, we assume he survived. We don't know actually that he survived the duel with Boba Fett. We know Boba Fett does, but I thought it was cool. He's alive post Clone Wars. Let's go. Add him to the list of people I want to see in the book of Boba Fett. Luke, I mean, could this happen?
I think there's a lot of clamoring in the fan base for a live action Cad Bane. Now that the first threshold has been crossed of animation. Yeah. Animated character jumping to live action with Ahsoka, that there's more like, okay, this can work if it's done right, if it's done well. And I think very high on that list of people we've only ever seen animated is Cad Bane. And now there's so many areas he could pop up in with all the series going on, and we don't know where or when his demise might occur. He could be alive at the time of Book of Boba Fett. Yeah. He could be involved in Cassian Andor, Kenobi. I do feel it's a little less likely we get him now that he popped up in the Bad Batch. But you never know. But I think there is some clamoring for that in the fan base generally. And I will add, I love that he's still hanging out with that one droid who's voiced by Seth Green. Because that was always a funny, the sort of comparison between how serious and menacing Cad Bane is with this goofy droid voiced by Seth Green. The contrast between those two was always played well in the Clone Wars.
You always got to have the silly droid.
That's right.
And you know what, guys? I know that they can do Cad Bane in a live action television series.
Yeah.
Because Holly, we saw the cosplayer in 2019 in Chicago.
Yeah.
It was as if Cad Bane were standing in front of me. I have video footage of it, folks, and he pointed his pistol at me, and I was kind of taken aback. I was like, Jesus.
Michael put his hands up.
Cad Bane's going to blow me away.
We should post that. We should You should pull that clip, and we'll put it on Facebook, Instagram. It's a cool clip.
If this guy can do it, Lucasfilm can do it.
That's right.
It blew me away. So we'll try. I'll try to find that clip and post that for you guys, because
maybe Lucasfilm. Maybe Lucasfilm should actually hire a cosplayer.
That'd be awesome.
I mean, come on.
That dude's hitting him up. He's like, I got the costume.
Yeah. And he could play the role. Look at him.
That'd be sweet. It's gonna be so many more Cad Banes at Celebration 2022. Let's go. I'm just like, it got me excited for where we're going with the Book of Boba Fett, because I didn't know what was going on. But there's just, now that we have this character, Fennec Shan's is dope. Like, it's just, I'm looking forward to that series more and more now. So God, props to Cad Bane. I'm glad he's back in the Star Wars universe. I don't know who voices Cad Bane, but the guy kills it every time. It's just fantastic. He's got the little John Wayne down.
He's voiced by Corey Burton.
Corey Burton. Yeah. Kills it every time. I'm assuming they brought him back for this. So that's just fantastic. And what do you guys think? Like, where are we going with this story? Is Cad Bane gonna just drop Omega off with the Kaminoans, and that's that, and they hide out somewhere, or is on his way there he's gonna get intercepted by Fennec Shand and Boba Fett, and all hell's gonna break loose, and he's gonna say, "You double-crossed me," or whatever. It's gonna be an epic confrontation of bounty hunters. I don't know, but I think we're gonna get something like that in the future. Something else that kind of like made me say, "Wait, what?" Another moment in this episode of Reunion was our boy Crosshair.
Oh boy.
With his face all kind of jacked up from the engine. He was getting bandaged up by the clones around him. And Holly, what the hell did I say after he stood up and it was all bandaged up?
Oh yeah, you tell me.
He looks like Dengar. Luke, did you? I had a moment. I was like, wait a second. Are they writing some backstory for Dengar? I mean, the raps and everything. I'm like, it looks just like him. Could they be rewriting his past?
I hadn't considered it, but that's a really funny idea if they really do end up pulling that off.
Right?
Dengar is reappearing in some of the comics lately as well. So it's the Dengarissance.
That's funny.
They would be flipping out for that. It just kind of makes sense to me. If he, let's say he kind of snaps out of this and he, I don't know if he'll snap out or not, but like if he's kind of on this inhibitor chip and like they're getting ready to decommission these clones or however this is going to happen, I don't know. Maybe he just says, I'm getting the hell out of here and I'm going to live a life of crime. I don't know. But the whole wrappings and everything were just placed too perfectly, and it looked just like him. And oh my God, if I call this, that would be insane.
You heard it here
One
first,
of the
folks.
biggest predictions of all time, but I was just taken away. Like, I was like, oh my God, that's him. Just missing the kind of the limp. But
it's funny to me how long that character has captured people's imaginations and interests, because it is kind of this weird thrown together thing of this like weird, oddly bandaged fellow, just thrown into the background of Empire Strikes Back. Yeah. But every one of those bounty hunters that appears on that Star Destroyer in Empire Strikes Back, everyone was just fascinated with, and so there's so much EU written about them, and now see where they live on in the new canon.
It really wouldn't be the first time that you get someone who was live action in one of the films that then finds their way into the animated series, because that happened with oh God, what's his name? Asajj Ventress's lover.
Oh, our boy.
Yes.
Quinlan
Voss in the background of episode 1.
I couldn't think of his name.
No, you're right. They've also done it with Bosk. They brought Bosk into the Clone Wars with a young Boba Fett and stuff. Yeah, they've done a lot. IG-88. They've done some stuff with him in the comics even too. And he's probably made it in the animation at some point. But
obviously, I mean like smaller characters. I'm not saying like the main characters in Star Wars are also in the freaking animated shows.
No, you're talking about like background guys that like we saw like the toes of Bosk and then his lizard head and some outfit that they stole off of another movie set for him. And they made him into some creepy guy, and it worked.
Yep. Ew.
There is a minor hole in the theory.
Oh crap! Here it comes.
He did appear in the Clone Wars.
Shoot!
I double checked.
Damn it!
On that arc where Asajj, when she is a bounty hunter, since you mentioned Asajj, Ventress kind of made me think of it. Where she's working as a bounty hunter, and she ends up teaming up with Bosk and Boba Fett and his little gang. Yeah. Dengar is a part of that.
Damn
gang.
it!
Okay,
well, it was a good theory until it wasn't. But he looked just like him. Am I wrong? I mean, the bandages and everything. I'm like, you are giving it a nod.
Crosshair's the new discount Dengar.
Yeah. He may be the new improved Dengar. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Dengar's got a mad
Dengar
lip
with an inhibited chip.
I mean, Dengar is, I don't know too much of his story. He's a badass. I mean, he's fought Wookiees. He's fought Chewbacca. Like, he's a tough guy. He's got a sick assault weapon.
He also looks like a mummy. It's fine.
Sometimes he does. Well, that theory is shot to hell, but that's okay. So, guys, there's a few good episodes. I really enjoyed them. It's just every week the show is just reeling me in even more, and it's continuing to get me more and more excited. And when I thought in the beginning of this that like Bad Batch really like it's making so much sense with this time period and everything that's going on in the Empire, and it's not just the Bad Batch. You know, we're seeing the bad of the batch, like the worst of the worst, like. Some of the grossest individuals out there, some of the toughest individuals out there. So it's just great. I'm really enjoying this show. I cannot believe that I'm into it so much. It's great. It's Star Wars.
It's a good time.
Obviously. Luke, anything else about these 3 episodes that was sticking out at all?
No, I'm just enjoying how much I really don't know what's going to happen next. You know, we had a lot of fun conversations after Mandalorian season 1 going into season 2, and we were like, wow, I really have no idea what's going to happen in season 2. I'm really excited about it, but I don't know where things are going. I think we had many conversations like that. And then right now, you know, we sort of could tell where things were going for a little bit with, something's going to happen with the inhibitorship, and we're going to see just the relationships develop amongst the team and Omega. And now we're at this point where I really don't know. Like you said, what is Cad Bane going to do with Omega? Where is she going to end up? It's just really exciting to not know but be engaged and excited about what's going to happen.
Absolutely. You can't trust him, but like I can only imagine what the conversation is going to be like with Omega and Cad Bane in the same shuttle. Like this is going to be actually kind of hysterical.
Something about that kind of makes me feel like the moment where
it may not be so bad.
Well, where Thrawn and Ezra are kind of like together in the ship, and it's I wouldn't say cordial, but it's not as hostile and aggressive.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean.
There's moments where Cad Bane, you're just like, he could be a decent dude.
Could he?
I don't know.
He's
all about making that cash. Like he's worked for freaking Palpatine has hired him for jobs. So it's like he's a huge asset, but there's moments where I'm like, you could flip to a good guy. I don't know.
Also, my question is, I can't imagine that the Kaminoans would have Omega return to them there.
Yeah.
Don't you think that they would be having him take her somewhere else?
Probably, yeah.
To whom?
I don't know.
Who?
She could be. We could have this whole asset, kind of hunt like we did with Grogu, and the Mandalorian. It could be kind of something like that.
Who knows?
Now, I mean, the Empire's out to kill her now, so it's a matter of like, can the Kaminoans protect her? But like, the Bad Batch have to get in there at some point. But like, God, just thinking about this is gonna be crazy. I don't know.
They're gonna take her. It's gonna take her to Dex.
Going to the diner, hanging out, having a Jawa juice. She might be a little young.
Have a cup of Jawa juice. Sit down.
We got a virgin Jawa juice for you here.
Oh my God.
But
I don't know.
That'd be great. Yeah, let's go to Coruscant. I'm down.
I mean, who knows?
You're from them.
Cloners. I knew it by the look in your eyes. The Kaminoans show up and he's like, how big's your pocketbook? Will you take her?
How many Jawa juices can you buy?
Oh, I love it. Let's go back to Texas. That'd be great. We all need to actually open up our own diner and call it Texas Diner.
I think that's probably not allowed.
Why?
I bet it's trademarked.
Oh, they don't
copyrighted.
They don't actually call it Texas Diner. We just call it that for fun.
Oh.
Pretty sure they've never called it anything.
Yeah.
We'll find out. We'll let you know in the next episode.
That's right.
We'll fact check it. But, well, guys, I hope you're all caught up on the Bad Batch. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Looking forward to it. I don't think we're taking a break from the Bad Batch any at all. There's no movie release or anything, so they're probably just going to continue on, I guess, week after week.
So they have the episodes, the internet has the episodes listed as being every Friday, and then July 30th, they're saying it's the final episode 14.
Oh my God. Okay. Wow. We are almost out of...
A little over.
Yeah. 6 more episodes.
That's crazy. But I'm here for it. It's just, so much good stuff to talk about. Holly, are we reading any Star Wars books right now? Are you going to start reading the High Republic?
Okay, I started reading one of the books from the High Republic.
Hopefully Light of the Jedi.
Is that what? Yes,
hopefully.
That is the one. And then I put it down. I haven't picked it back up.
Okay, I'll give you a few days.
Okay.
We'll get back on it. But I would like to get into those conversations. I think that would be fun. Right now, Bad Batch is occupying a lot of our time, as are other things, but hopefully we'll get back into it. I'm currently reading Claudia Gray's High Republic novel. I want to say
Into the Dark?
Into the Dark. Oh. I started it on my oil change today while waiting for my oil change. I'm actually really enjoying it. I'm only in like the first chapter in. I'm like, this is actually, I really like this this young Padawan that we're introduced to. I don't know. They say he's not great with the Force, but he's got the freaking grit and the will to get the job done. I'm like, let's go. It's like a working class Jedi, and I freaking love it. Yeah.
I feel like Star Wars books are very popular to read at Toyota when you're getting your oil changed, because last time I got my oil changed, there was a guy in the lobby reading a Star Wars book.
It wasn't me, was it?
No.
Oh, okay. But yeah.
It was love at first sight. We met reading Star Wars books at the Toyota dealer.
Is that heir to the Empire? Yes, it is. Marry me.
No, I think it was one of the Thrawn books that this guy had.
one of the newer ones?
I think so. I don't remember. No, it wasn't new.
Oh, well, then heir of the Empire.
Guys, I haven't gotten my oil changed where I've sat in Toyota to change it since 2019.
Wow.
It was pre-pandemic.
Wow. Yeah, you don't drive much.
No.
That's okay. So we'll get to the Star Wars reading. We got some, good Bad Batch episodes to dig into each week, but we'll get into it, get back on track with our book reading. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the Catalyst discussion. I thought that was a great discussion with our small panel there. So looking forward to the Rogue One novel, right, Holly?
That's right.
Looking forward to that.
And then we will move on to something else. I just felt,
different time period.
I just felt that we had to finish strong with.
I love the novelizations.
The Ursos.
They're great. Yeah. Absolutely. I actually have not read this one, so I'm looking
better
forward to
read it. Or at least listen to the audiobook.
Got a couple months, so.
Yes.
Michael reading multiple books at one time, not usually a good thing. Usually a recipe for disaster.
Well, don't do that. You have until August.
We got a while. Okay. Well, guys, get to reading your Rogue One novel and be sure to check out our Catalyst discussion if you haven't already, and our Casual Council episodes that we released this past week. So yeah, we'll see you guys next week, and we'll talk about, what is it, episode 9, which I don't think we have a title for, but we'll look forward to talking about that. I'm sure it's going to be a good one, and hopefully Cad Bane is just out there wrecking the universe. Looking forward to it. So guys, happy Pride, like we said. Take care of each other out there. Be safe, and may the Force be with you always.